Hey everyone, welcome back to 30 by 30, my vlog where I do 30 things before I turn 30 years old. In this week's episode, I am so excited because I want to wish a very special happy birthday to two people who I love. Their birthday is today, September 7th, and it is just so crazy because these two people don't necessarily know each other, but they are connected in a crazy, special, unique way. And the purpose of this vlog today is to, one, wish them a very happy birthday, and two, to kind of tell the story on how they are connected. And I guess we'll first start off by wishing them a happy birthday. So, happy birthday, Laura, and happy birthday, Amber. I hope you have the best day celebrating, and I hope you know how loved and how special you are to so many people. So how are Laura and Amber connected? It's honestly quite the story, and I'm so excited to share it with you. We're gonna go back in time just a little bit to put all the pieces of this puzzle together. So 5 years ago, Laura and I, so Laura is actually, technically we work together, we're co-workers, but honestly she's so much more than that to me. I kind of consider her my indie mom. She is always there for me. Back in October of 2016, we had gone that morning to help set up a cell repeater for an event, and then we had got this Facebook notice about this sale going on at an antique shop, and we went and checked it out. And I remember driving back home from that, and Laura asked me about my faith. And I didn't really have a good answer because I didn't really know what my faith was. I told her though, I said, you know, growing up, I didn't really grow up in a church. So it's not that I don't believe, I just don't know. Like I don't know enough. And she was like, hey, if you ever have any questions, you can always come to me and talk. And I realized looking back that day, she had planted a seed. One of the things that I wanted to do when I moved to Plainfield was to find a church and learn more, so I could figure out what I believed and learn more about this Jesus guy. So, man, what year was this? I guess it was in 18? Yeah, I think it was 2018. In 2018, I actually saw an ad for Tribe Church on social media, and I know you're not probably supposed to pick a church based off of like their branding, their colors, and their vibe, but like that's totally what I did. And I felt like, oh, that's the place that I want to go to learn more about Jesus. At the time, I didn't even know at the time when I saw this these advertisements, but Tribe hadn't launched yet. They were launching soon, which actually ended up being in September of 2018. And so I guess happy birthday, Tribe, too, and your birthday's coming up here soon. Man, all the birthdays, it's so good. In 2018, I started going to church, and I honestly did not, like, I didn't know a whole lot. It's kind of crazy looking back, like I didn't know what a sermon was, like in terms of like definitions. I didn't know what a sermon was, I didn't know what a testimony was, I didn't know that the Bible it wasn't Jesus who wrote the Bible. These are stories about God and Jesus and like the difference between the New Testament and Old Testament. I didn't know any of that. But over the last couple years, I have learned a lot from going to church and eventually becoming baptized in 2019. That's when I realized that following Jesus would make my life better and make me better at life. So, just going back to Laura planted the seed, and there were a couple seeds that had been planted, but like I feel like she was a big seed that planted because that conversation, like I still remember it. It's just so crazy how God moves in your life. 2020, you know, a pandemic started, I guess we're still kind of in it. We used to meet at the movie theater, and when the movie theater shut down, like basically the whole world shut down, but the movie theater shut down, Matt and Carrie were looking at buildings for us to meet in. And this building is now where we call home, 119 North Vine when you have your own building, you could do things like have a First Wednesday service. This March 3rd, 2021 is a service that I will never forget, and it was so special to me. This is where Amber comes into the picture. So keep in mind, Laura planted the seed about faith and Jesus and you know, figuring out what I believed. And here we are on First Wednesday, and man, I think back, there was a lot of emotions during that time. You may remember in February, I did a little project called Project Love. There's a vlog about it if you want to go back and watch it. But we were raising money for my coworker Gregory, his nephew Jackson. A couple months before that, he was diagnosed with an inoperable brain tumor, and they weren't sure how much longer he had. Honestly, a couple days before this First Wednesday service, we learned that he had stopped eating. He wouldn't wake up. So I'm just putting this into perspective for where I was at that night. I came to First Wednesday dressed in a sunflower kimono. It was honestly the first time in a long time that I had gotten ready, put on like real clothes, because like when you work from home, it's, you know, you work in your PJs. And so I felt really good about coming here, and it felt like a good, uplifting, positive way to come together in a time that like I knew I needed a good Lord in my life that night. Jackson had really brought me a lot closer to God in that last month, because I kept praying every single day for him. And my prayer, I really wanted him to make it to his 5th birthday. So he was 4 years old, going on 5, and his birthday is March 7th. Here we are, March 3rd, 4 days before Jackson is 5. And that First Wednesday, so First Wednesday is kind of a believer service. We have a longer worship. Sometimes we'll have a guest speaker come in, or Matt and Carrie will preach, and we'll just go a little bit deeper than what we do on Sundays. So this First Wednesday, the worship, I'm just saying, every song was fitting for what was happening with Jackson, and just my thoughts and like what I have been praying for with him and his family and Gregory. And worship was like totally on point. And then Tribe had Tony Wolf come in, and whew, I'm going to tell a little pieces from that sermon, because this is a message that will never leave my heart, because man, it was so timely. I swear, God is so timely all the time. Like he is, like even today driving here, one of the songs, the very first song that we sang for worship that First Wednesday was playing on my drive here to record this. I'm gonna see a victory, for the battle belongs to you, Lord. I can't believe this song is playing right now. I'm about to cry. So like his timing is impeccable. Tony got on stage, and there's a couple parts to what he shared. One of the parts that he shared is that he actually, I'm pretty sure he has 4 children, and I think it was his youngest a couple years back came home from a Friday, after school. This was Super Bowl weekend, and his kid was looking so forward to the football game. And by 8:30 that night, he was at Peyton Manning Children's Hospital in a medically induced coma, and they weren't sure if he was coming out of it. And his son actually, he pulled through, but Tony said in those moments, he realized that God is good all of the time, and if his son didn't come home, he knew that he would be home with Jesus. It was going to be okay no matter the outcome.
Church, I have to tell you this tonight, something I came to grips with in that week and a half, and I believe this with all my heart. Even if it had gone the other way, and my son hadn't have made it, he would be with Jesus right now, and God would still be good.
And when Tony said that night, I realized that I had been looking at Jackson's story in a different way, because I was like, if God's so good, why is he doing this to Jackson and his family? And like he has his whole life ahead of him, and he should have more time. 2 days later, after First Wednesday, Jackson went home to be with the good Lord, and he never saw his 5th birthday. And Tony that night played him a song that he wrote a long time ago, and he said every time he goes into a church, he sings the song, and it's called Forever. And I'm so grateful that Tribe has an awesome production team that we actually stream our services, because I have gone back to watch this service so many times, but I'm going to play a little clip of Forever. And when Tony was singing this, I'm in the back room, because I'm on doing slides on the production team, and I'm just like in tears listening to this song, because I was relating it back to Jackson being for forever.
And we will be forever.
You're probably wondering at this point, like, how the heck does this relate to Laura and Amber's birthday? So, the other thing that Tony shared was that he was adopted. He also shared about how he'd gone to Ethiopia and talked with this mom who just found out she had cancer, and she was worried that her son was going to turn into an orphan because he wouldn't have anywhere to go when she passed. That child was sponsored, and she knew that her son had people in his life to help him grow up. Everything was going to be okay. God had a plan. At the end of service, Tony pulled out 10 cards, and he laid them out on the table right behind me here. And he said,
Tonight, like I said, you know, my birth mother couldn't take care of me, and it's all right. But I wasn't a mistake. I believe that I was not a mistake, and neither is she. Around Christmas time, the Child Fund sent me 250 kids. They said, Tony, these kids need sponsors. Some of them have been waiting a year. See, these are the ones nobody else wanted. Can you help? I said, well, I can't sponsor 250 kids, but I can call a lot of churches and ask them if I can come and talk about this. So for the past couple of weeks, I've taken all these kids and we've gone down to Florida and back. We've already gotten more than half of them the help they need. Every night I put out 10 kids on a table. I did the same thing tonight. There's a table right over there behind that white wall. Before you leave tonight, I want to challenge this church in a couple of ways. Number one, go over and pick up a kid. Now, that's the hardest part, because they're all going to look at you. But you go over and you pick one out. Or if you want to take all 10, I'll let you do that. But you pick one out, and there's a little envelope. You fill out the envelope. It takes a minute. That would change this child's life for eternity. After that, you sponsor them by sending them just over $1 each day. And all those things we talked about, getting an education, food, clean water, doctor, you know, anything that they need, they're going to have it. They're going to have access to all of that. And they're going to have you in their corner to write them letters and say blessings. God has a plan for your life, one to prosper you, not to harm you, one to give you hope in the future. That's what his word says. And so tonight you go out there and you fill that out, hand it in. You do this as long as you feel led, and that's it.
So I went up to that table and I found this little girl named Amber. And she just stood out to me. I was like, you know, this is who I meant to sponsor. So I filled out the paperwork and I handed it back into Tony. And then I got home that night. So the cool thing about Child Fund International is you can actually write to the kids. And I knew that I wanted to make sure I wished her a happy birthday. And her birthday's on the card. And so when I went to put her birthday into my calendar, I realized it's Laura's birthday too. She shares the same birthday as Laura, who planted the seed 5 years ago.
You know, there's so many things that we can't control, right? One of the things that we can't control is the planting of seeds, right?
Amen.
We are planting seeds with the people around us, our neighbors, our friends,
Amen.
our coworkers. We're planting seeds all the time. We can't control the sun, right? We can't control the rain. We can't control when the harvest comes, if the harvest comes. We can't control any of that. But what we can control is the planting of seeds. And let me just tell you something. Tribe Church, you are planting seeds.
Amen.
You are planting seeds. And not so that Tribe Church's name will be more known, because who cares if anyone knows about Tribe Church? But the name of Jesus being known and shared with people.
It's just so crazy how God moves in our lives. And when people like ask me, why do I believe in Jesus? Why do I believe in God? Why do I believe? I believe because I don't know how things like this, I don't know how stories come together like this without him. Like, it's not a coincidence. I really hope that you feel stories similar to this in your life and you can see God moving before we head out. I just think it would be fun to sing happy birthday to Laura and Amber and Tribe for turning 3 here in a couple weeks. So here we go now. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Laura and Amber and Tribe. Happy birthday to you. The things that happen in front of this building are just crazy. I would say my first moment was when I was randomly taking photos outside of the wall here, back when it was blue, when I was on a run for my half marathon training, and I had no idea. Like, I literally snapped a picture as the halfway point for my run, and that Sunday was Easter, like that, the next day was Easter, and during the service, because it was all online at the time, Matt and Carrie announced that that building that I took the photo in front of would be Tribe's new home. And I literally was there the day before it. I had no idea. It used to be like a wrestling building. And now, I'm just speechless, because now I'm driving here and I heard the song from worship on First Wednesday. It's all coming back full circle, and how it just all falls back to a seed that was planted a long time ago. Actually, in 2016, 5 years ago. So, man, whatever plans you have for your life, God has so, like, his plans are far greater than anything you could have ever imagined. And it's just so cool when like stories and things like this happen, there's no one else that could make these magical moments in everyday life come together and just leave you speechless.